So amazing views. And yeah, this is the patio. Here's the home. And on this side, which I think is facing eastish, you can see there's erosion. Now, this house is many years old, so it's been sitting here for a long time. Some maintenance is probably needed periodically. And you can see the patio, it's a little crumbly. It's older. You can see that right here. The exterior is this somewhat old school stucco pattern. It's holding up okay. And you start to see the little details like that, the screens are missing and or need to be replaced. But my God, the view. It really is beautiful. So, forgive me, I have a injury. I'm walking with a slight limp. I would argue these windows need replacement. And these sliders. These are original single panes from when the year it was built, which I don't have on me at the moment, but my memory is like the 70s or 80s. They have put mini splits. There's one passed over here and one over here. I'm looking for the lockbox to get in. Some kind of decking up here. So at the top of the staircase is a roof. It doesn't look in bad condition, actually. And you can see it drains out through those portals over there, pitch down this way. Rest friendly fencing here. You probably want to build a deck up here if you're going to make use of this. Tile roof, which often can be the best form of roofing. But there is definitely some repairs have been done with metal replacement on that. So an inspector could determine that could be perfectly fine roof, to be determined. Again, the view is just like, holy. It's a big house. A little storage nook over here underneath those stairs I just climbed. Hold on. And some boulders right up against the house. So this is probably mostly rock that this is sitting on. And this is the view into the garage. We'll get into there in a minute. But you can see this house is probably built mostly on rock. And that's why it's survived probably 40, 50 years. They have a charging station for electric vehicles. This is the entrance. Again, you can see these older windows, and this it's a dated kind of stucco pattern that they've got there. Retro, and these beams are interesting. Their condition looks older. So through that gate, I came into this kind of foyer. It's a little kind of, I don't know, alcove area over here. And entering the front door. As soon as you walk in, there are steps. You gotta be careful. Step number 1 to a living room, and then step 2, step down. Fireplace, windows, and here's your like spectacular view. From the front door, if you made a right inside the front door, you would lead to this room with vaulted ceilings. You know, it's got a lot of trauma. Again, the view looking in the same direction. And you know, you have a walk-in closet. That's nice. It needs some love. There's no power on. Carpeting, built-ins, older. Everything's older. You've got access to a crawl space here, and here's, you know, this bathroom needs a new bathroom in my opinion. So bathroom. It's an old school overhead heating unit. Mini split handler over here. Back to the front door. So we made a right after this living room, and then we go into basically a second living room, which has the other side. We have a second fireplace, and you know, large windows here, vaulted ceilings, dramatic. These are positives. I think these are, this is actually a double pane, but it's an older one. And I guess my sense is you'd want to replace them, but I was maybe not fair. That's a single pane, I'm pretty sure. And kitchen, you know, you've got 18-inch tile, looks like 18-inch square tile, old school kitchen. Countertop, you know, it's kind of basic. I think I have a feeling you're going to want to fancy this up if you want to use short-term rental. Again, the views are out in every direction are quite compelling. And so from the kitchen, we go, and there's more. Bathroom number 2. Old school. Jack and Jill. And the tile from, I forget if this is an 80s or a 90s house. I don't remember, but it's older. Everything is period, or a lot of it. Another bedroom. Flooring is newer than some of this. No, this is not original. Mini split condenser unit, handler, view. Another bedroom. This is on the front of the house. And, okay, yeah, I was wrong. So these are These are double pane, but it's an older double pane, so they're not as efficient as what we would find in today's window argon gas combos. A lot of mirrors here. Double closet, desk built in. You know, I think you want to schmancy these up. Oh, there is power. Laundry area leading to the garage. Got a little evidence of rodent here. Older cabinets. Let's take a look inside the garage. Two bay garage. Nice, clean. Popcorn ceiling, but for a garage. Looks like we have some kind of a water filtration over here. And tool kit area and water heaters over there. Older water heater, maybe working fine. And garage. So just to orient, because it's a little confusing, there's a hallway back towards the garage. There's a bedroom in the front. There's a bedroom in the back. And it leads to the kitchen. And there's a little hallway here, which passes our second bathroom and leads us to this little bonus area where we have, it's toward the front of the house. We have this kind of cool little bar situation, you know, which is for Airbnb, kind of cool. I think this flooring has to go, in my humble opinion. And then we're back to the fireplaces and back to the front of the house. These beam ceilings, you know, these high ceilings and these views are the attraction here, and it is compelling. I think a lot of the rest of it is kind of dated looking and will need some, I think the word people use is zhuzhing. It needs some dolling up. And then the question is, you know, the condition of the mechanicals and the plumbing and the wiring and all the boring but important stuff. Parking over here, so you have 2-car garage, and you know you could put another 2 or 3 cars over here. You know, there is parking for a number of vehicles up here. If you lost that little island, you could probably get some more parking. You can see cracking in the concrete. And going down the driveway, long driveway. Front yard, very quiet neighborhood. It's really pretty here. Boulders, always nice.